I'm going to be talking about technology as it relates to the intermediate learner. It's no secret that technology is more present than ever in our lives. As a matter of fact, 95% of intermediate learners are using the internet. 40% of adolescents have actually reported to watch 3 or more hours of TV on a school night or use screen time or use a computer. So with all of that combined, intermediate learners like to have information quickly. They like to multitask. They like to play in simulation things that involve technology, and really just like to use technology as much as possible, which is no surprise. So it's our job as educators to teach them how to use technology in the class as a tool, but also how to use it outside the class in a safe manner and also as a tool. And I think the first thing that leads me to is teaching media literacy and really putting a stress on that in your class. I've taught media literacy in my class with some success, and one thing I think is really important to teach in media literacy specifically would be things like cyberbullying and just digital citizenship. The reason I say that is because in the intermediate level, they are going through so many emotional changes, so many changes mentally, even internally and physically, that social media plays a big part in social communities within the school. So it's important that we talk about cyberbullying. For example, something along the lines of like you can't see emotion through texting or through social media. So if you post something like a comment or a picture that's you intend as a joke, the person on the other end may intend it as bullying and react negatively. So I think that's really important to teach. My class took that lesson well, I think, and really grabbed to that. So I think it's important to put a stress on that. Along with that, I think is also putting a stress on proper sources. So we did an exercise in Julie's class where we looked at a bunch of not good sources as well as a bunch of good sources, and we had to go through the articles and determine which ones were good, which ones were bad, and why. So I think that's a good thing that you can do with intermediate learners, sorry, because we're in a world with an abundance of information where anyone with a keyboard and internet access can post their opinion, and it's out there. They don't have to have peer-reviewed journals. It can just be out there, and their opinion is out there, and people can read it and access it. So I think it's really important to teach proper sources. As a tool within the class, I think we can use computers differently. So my school has something called Hapera, and so Hapera is similar to Brightspace. You can submit assignments, you can give students assignments, you can actually have access to their screens and close tabs if they're not on track. So I think Hapera is a really good resource that's been implemented. It's just because I think it's preparing them for the future where everything is going to be digitized and you're going to be handing in nothing by pencil and paper anymore. So I think that's a really good tool. That's, again, if your school has it, but I think Hapera is awesome. One thing I really liked was one of the groups had a geography workshop, so how we can implement technology. I've been more into the geography workshop, and they used Google Earth. And I had no idea. I've never taught geography, but there's a chance that in the future I may have to teach it. And I really liked what they did was using Google Earth. They showed me all the different tools that I could use and how I can use it in my class in the future. So they were talking about latitude and longitude and how you can make a scavenger hunt out of it, making them look up different places with different latitudes and longitudes, or have them look up a place and give you the latitude and longitude. So I really like that. I think that's a great way to implement technology in geography, especially because maps are just almost obsolete. I don't think I've ever used a map in my life. And finally, I think technology is great for the intermediate learner or for any learner who has IEPs. So in my school, we have a class of 8 students who are the Learning Strategies class. They come from different parts of the city, and they have higher cases of IEPs. So generally, they're given all their work through Hapera or through Google Drive, and they can use Google Read Aloud on their headphones to have them read the assignment to them, and then they can talk to it to submit all their answers, and they can submit their assignments digitally. I think that's really important because it's not making them fall behind, and technology is really just helping them just stay with the rest of their peers. Nothing is changing in terms of what they're getting. It's just a matter of how they're submitting it. So I think technology has played a really big part in IEPs, and there's a ton of ways that IEPs and technology work hand in hand so that they can benefit students.